A left side clear, left to the right, moving, running his back.
Rolls back from those punches. And they're slowly down.
What's good, guys? Prince Sports here, coming at you with another one. Starting off my morning with tea in my office. But I want to talk to you about the Phoenix Suns. Ever since this Bradley Beal trade came, some people say it don't make sense. Some people say it makes sense. Some people call it a super team. Some people don't call it a super team. Here's my take on it. It's a little bit confusing or a little bit hard to detail because this is an exception to the rule. The Phoenix Suns have one player each in the top 10 if you're going up to 40, right? They have a top 10 player in Durant. They have a top 20 player in Devin Booker. They have a top 30 player in Bradley Beal. They probably have a top 40 player in DeAndre Ayton, right? So, which is almost extremely rare. Now, you can make a case that's many examples for some other teams, but none of them got it like top 10, top 20, top 30, top 40, right? That's only the Phoenix Suns. So, by those reasonings, you may look at it and say, hey, that's a super team, right? But Bradley Beal is the odd man in this whole equation of saying that this is a super team, because is Bradley Beal a player that puts up good numbers on a bad team, aka empty stats, or is he a true all-star? And what is his ranking for you guys? Because some people say or think that he's probably top 25. Some think he's probably top 30. You know, he got to be somewhere floating in between there. I mean, I'm pretty sure nobody's walking around saying Bradley Beal's a top 20 player, because his numbers don't equal to wins. And when you're a superstar player, even if you don't win championships, you got to at least be leading your team into the postseason. And you got to be on the court playing, right? Now, I know health is an issue for Bradley Beal. The Phoenix Suns are basically top heavy. But they say that hell with the CBA. We're forming a team based off the best players we could possibly get. And if you want to label that as a super team, I got no problem with that. I'm going to tell you whether I think this is a super team or not. And quite frankly, to you and to everybody else, is this a super team? I have to put this on hold. I can't really give you a distinct answer, because I don't know what Bradley Beal is really going to bring to the table. And I don't know if he's the real deal. There's so many fake all-stars in today's NBA. It's hard to tell who's actually elite and who's actually not. That's the biggest problem with basketball, because guys could put up stats, guys could get numbers more than ever. And that leaves you with the distinction that a lot of guys are all-stars when they're really not. So that needs to be fixed. So with that being said, by default, if I'm just looking at it on paper, like I just said, they got a player from top 40, one of each, if you break it down to tens. So that may be enough for you to say that's a super team, because they got 3 all-stars on paper and 1 borderline all-star, and the guy that puts up all-star numbers in DeAndre Ayton. And he does this without even having much touches. Keep that in mind. So if he gets the same amount of touches as those other 3 guys, he will probably be named the all-star as well. And here's one of the pros of this. You know, you say this trade doesn't make sense. On paper, it doesn't make sense. But if Devin Booker is willing to become a point guard and play the point guard position, and Bradley Beal and Kevin Durant cooperate without the ball, you could just give it to them. They could do catch and shoot sometimes. And they have proven that they don't need the ball all the time to get buckets. So that helps Devin Booker, because he is a ball-dominant player. Question is, how ball-dominant is Devin Booker going to be? You're forcing a shooting guard to be a point guard, and that's extremely hard. Okay, you have to make sacrifices to be a point guard, opposite to being the shooting guard. They're not the same position. They're not angst of the same position. So that is definitely something to think about. And we only time will tell if the Phoenix Suns are going to be successful. But I would tell you this much. This goes back to what I was saying before. Role players are like seeing trees outside. They're a dime a dozen. You can find role players everywhere. And the Phoenix Suns always, most GMs always would take the best player available, especially if he's named an All-Star. They're always going to pick an All-Star over role players because they know role players are replaceable, but it's hard to replace an All-Star. And I can't get mad at that. If it's available for you to take, you're going to take it. If you have $5 million and I say you can have 10, you're going to take the 10. You're not going to be like, oh, well, I'm good with the 5, right? No. So it's the example of the rich get richer. Is this a third super team for Kevin Durant? He got 2 other All-Stars playing with him and a borderline guy with him. By default, you could say that's a super team, right? But for me, I have to wait and see. Sports out. This is the way. Peace.